World. Raw excitement on the Speed World menu for tonight as Harley-Davidson presents the AMA Camel Pro Series. Somebody cue up that John Denver record. This is almost heaven. West Virginia, Blue Ridge Mountain foothills, the setting for the dirt track bikes tonight. A lovely and serene setting for now, but not for long. For reasons that will soon be obvious, this is called the Rolling Thunder Show. Tonight, Thunder in the Hills. Hello, everyone. I'm Dave Despain, along with ESPN Dirt Track motorcycle analyst Bill Werner, and we're overlooking West Virginia Motor Speedway. So, Bill, let's start right there with the basics. Tell me about the racetrack.
It's a very unique racetrack in that it's a high bank clay oval. And by that, I mean the corners are very wide, which offers the competitors a number of options. The conventional approach is the inside's the short way around, and the more conservative competitor will take that line. The more mono or macho type competitor might run it up by the bales, make a sharp turn, and launch it down the hill.
And what happens then when the guy up top and the guy on the bottom find themselves at the same exit point coming off the corner?
The fans love that part.
It's going to be exciting for sure, and it's a little different from what we've seen thus far in our ESPN Camel Pro coverage. We've seen 3-mile racetracks. This track is just a half-mile around. Now, if you were with us last year, you may recall that the half miles weren't very good to Bill Werner and his rider, Camel Pro champion Scotty Parker. This is Oklahoma City, start of the heat race. The arrow pinpoints Parker, whose chain broke off the line, and boom, he was rear-ended by Steve Raymond, who had absolutely nowhere to go. Parker's looking back, ooh, man, are you okay? After a major thrash to get the bike repaired, Scotty ran a lackluster 11th in the main event. We go on to Hagerstown, Maryland. A sharp eye will pick out dark lines going into turn 1. Somebody is leaking oil. Parker said later he couldn't believe it. Every time he changed lines to avoid the oil, the leaker would move right to where he was on the racetrack. So Scotty slipped and slid around to 8th place, then discovered the explanation. The oil was coming from his engine, which had been hit by a piece of flying debris. And finally in South Dakota, Parker broke a piston and finished 14th. All right, Bill, given what happened last year, I wonder if in 92 the half miles present any kind of special challenge or strategic opportunity.
Well, the first thing I do if I were Parker is get rid of that mechanic. I mean, no, seriously, though, the half miles are unique, and it affords more competitors an opportunity to win because it's shorter and the start's much more important. One of the guys to look for tonight, I think, is my guy, because in spite of all the monkey wrenches I threw in his performances last year, he ended up the top performer on half miles, and he's won 2 half miles already this year. Another potential winner is Larry Pegram. Basically, last year was his rookie season. He won 1 race outright, was competitive at a bunch of others. He'll be up front tonight. Here's a guy, Carr, probably one of the most consistent performers on the circuit. We worry about him all the time. He knows he has to perform well here tonight to win the championship. Ricky Graham, he's rekindled the fire that brought him 2 national championships. Except for a couple of DNFs, he'd be in the thick of the hunt for #1 this year. George Roeder, the new acknowledged king of the Ohio circuit. If you're competitive in Ohio, you can cut it on the national circuit. Finally, I wanted to plug Rusty Rogers, but Larry Myers threatened to cut my mic cord. Rusty was last week's winner in Maryland, and our pit reporter beat me to him.
I think if anything gets cut, it's going to be the rest of the field cutting Rusty Rogers' throttle cable. That's what it would have taken to beat Rusty just 1 week ago at Hagerstown, won his first national. Rusty, you know, I've got to wonder, since joining the ranks of Camel Pro in 1986, your career has been full of turmoil. You've had some injuries, you've had some bad breaks, and certainly sponsor problems. Did you ever think maybe that that first national would not be there for you?
Oh yeah, you know, after 6-7 years in this stage of the game, it really gets hard on you, you know. And after that national win, it really takes a lot of load off your shoulders, and now you know what to look for to win one of these things, and we feel real comfortable, and actually it's calmed me down a little inside, and it's not a whole lot of pressure, and I've got the feeling of winning one, so I think I can get the feeling again.
I tell you what was really impressive to me, Dave, was the way that Rusty Rogers won that thing. Now, the rest of the field, they took the low line. They were down on the groove where it was nice and smooth, but Rusty, you attacked the track. You went way up high and made it work.
Yeah, I've seen it done a couple years ago there. Rodney Ferris and Steve Moorhead at a regional. They put on one heck of a show up there, and I never forgot that. And I probably got more experience there than any track we've rode before or ever on the series. And if there's one I could win, it would have been Hagerstown, and I'm glad it happened that close to Richmond. I had some family there, and I hope we can pull out another win.
Well, that's the obvious question now. Can you do it again here at Parkersburg?
Well, it's one of the tracks that I've been raised on, and red clay, and Hagerstown's red clay. If there's a second one on the series that we can win, it would be here, and I'm going to give it one heck of a run here today.
Tell you what, it's his kind of track. He is red hot, and I'd look for him in the winner's circle if I were you, Dave.
Not a bad prediction, Larry. That was a great run last week at Parkersburg. Here's little Troy Erickson. His dad's a racer. He's getting set to gas it up at Parkersburg, West Virginia, where this Camel Pro telecast is brought to you by Harley-Davidson Motor Clothes. Custom designed casual apparel exclusively available at your Harley-Davidson dealer. And by Bud Dry. Dry brewed so it drinks light, yet satisfies completely.
I danced with the Fräuleins in Berlin. Flirted with the ladies in Paris. And if I had to do it all over again, I would only have done one more thing. I would have got me that Harley-Davidson.
What makes a mountain man a mountain man? Let's find out. Must a mountain man be a big burly guy with an axe? A man of steel? Must a mountain man even be a man? Actually, the only requirement is the right beer. Smooth bush beer or easy drinking bush light. So, head for the mountains and learn what makes the typical mountain man anything but.
Fix-A-Dent Fresh. The spring water fresh feeling is reason enough to try it. And it's the strongest holding adhesive, so you'll never settle for anything less. Crisp freshness, strongest hold. Two great reasons to Fix-A-Dent and forget it.
Everyone has a dream, a vision deep inside.
With all the mutual funds out there, I needed an easy way to help me compare them.
We make it easier to follow your own lead.
With Schwab's free mutual funds performance guide, I can compare track records on over 500 funds.
Always there to give you just the help you need.
Help yourself at Schwab today.
Defending champion Rocky Thompson high steps with the Mary Max and Chi-Chi as the digital classic makes its television debut, beginning Friday live on ESPN.
We're back at Parkersburg, West Virginia. That is Chris Carr and his mechanic Kenny Tolbert, and they are looking at a very muddy racetrack. Earlier this afternoon, a huge downpour soaked the track and delayed the program until late into the night. As number 57, Rusty Rogers, the fast qualifier, pulls to the line for the first of the heat races. Rogers, last week's winner. I want you to check out this heat race lineup. Alongside last week's winner is Ricky Graham, winner at Springfield a few weeks ago here on ESPN. The second-ranked rider in the country, Chris Carr. Alongside Carr, you'll have number 44, the youngster Chris Kaiser. Here's Davey Camlin, number 27. And one more guy in that lineup will be the national point leader, Scott Parker. Parker and Carr meet in the first race of the night. Rest of the standings show Kevin Atherton, Ricky Graham, and Larry Pegram. What a first heat. 3 of the top 4 in the point standings, plus last week's winner on the line and underway. Charged down to turn number 1, and it's the kid Kaiser who gets the whole shot and leads them into turn 1 and 2. Look at that big wide racetrack. Here's the battle for position. Parker goes up the outside trying to take over the spot. Little bumping and banging as Carr grabs third, and then Rogers, number 57, takes it away from him, goes to the bottom and takes the lead.
9 guys up top, 1 guy around the bottom. He listens to his own music out there.
Rusty Rogers doing it differently from everybody else and doing it differently from a week ago.
Yeah, exactly. He was the guy on top last week, and now he's using just an unconventional line and making it work. He's got the lead, and he's pulling away.
A huge lead after just 2 laps as the field busts him off into turn 1. Number 1, Parker in second spot. Here comes Carr around the outside, takes over the position from Chris Kaiser. So now the battle for the national championship sits in second and third spot. And remember, third won't get you into... Oh, Rogers has crashed. Rusty Rogers stuffs it into the hay bales, an end-over-end crash. He was running away from the national champion and the national championship challenger, and he threw it into the hay bales. Take another look.
Rusty, after 2 laps of running around the inside, decided to take a high line, and that doesn't leave you much room for error. Hit a hole, and he's in the bales.
Boy, that motorcycle went tumbling after him, too, and right there just missed him. I don't believe there was any contact between the bike and Rusty Rogers. The hay bales there to cushion the blow, but I gotta tell you, when you hit the straw like that, it hurts. He's picking the bales out of his leather, shaking his head in disgust, digging the mud out of his helmet visor, and perhaps pondering what it's like to run up front. Here's a kid who, in his previous 3 years of racing, had a total of 2 top 5 finishes, but he won last week. He was fast qualifier here tonight. He was all pumped up, and he's back for the restart. They've bent that motorcycle back into shape. He's going to line up on the tail end of the line, and all the way up here, the 2 championship challengers that Rusty had behind him. At the moment, it all went wrong. Here is the restart. Single file. They get 3 wide going into 1. Look at Kaiser. He beat him again from third spot. Can he make it stick as they work through turn 1 and 2? Nah, that high line's the good line, and Scotty Parker knows it. Number 1 takes her up top, grabs the lead. Here comes Carr, number 20, back under Kaiser. Now the challenge from number 3, Ricky Graham, and he's down there on the bottom of the racetrack.
Ricky Graham saw Rusty Rogers' lines, and he's mimicking it. He thinks that's the short way around. Let's see if it works for him.
3 of the top 5 in the championship standings, Parker, Carr, and Graham in a scuffle. And look at Rogers, an incredible start, and in a lap and a quarter, bouncing around, he's already come to 5th spot. Here's Graham challenging Carr. Parker trying to get away. I think if we can get a word in edgewise, we gotta say this is a terribly rough and difficult racetrack.
That's being kind, Dave. It is very tough. Scotty, quite frankly, said, I'm not comfortable out there. Someday I'm going to end my career, just not tonight.
Graham has made a move on Carr. Oh, and Rogers almost crashes again all the way up by the bales. The man on the move is number 3, Ricky Graham. 57 Rogers is spectacular, bouncing all over the track. Graham, though, is the man who's going to the front. He'll challenge Parker off turn 4. He's got the spot.
Look, Parker, look behind him. That's an uncharacteristic move for him. He knows he has to get second place, and that's what he's going to do, try to get at least second.
He wanted to know where Carr is. The answer is obvious. Carr is right on his hip pocket as they come down the front straightaway. Rogers continues to dazzle. He's charged from the back. He's down in the bottom. He's doing things unconventionally. He is all over the motorcycle, and he almost hit Chris Carr. I'll tell you what, this is a battle royal. Graham the leader, Parker second and challenging. Carr sitting back there in third trying to find an opening. And Rogers, we got to talk about the fine line between aggressive and dangerous riding. Where is that line?
Well, last week what he was doing was certainly aggressive, but he was doing it outside of all the competitors. This week he's doing the same sort of thing inside of them, and that might worry some of them.
You do it on the outside, the hay bales are in danger. You do it on the inside and lose it, and you can take out, in this case, 3 of the top 5 in the championship standings. And Rogers is, as we've already seen once in this heat race, sometimes beyond that razor edge of control. Meanwhile, Graham changes his line. He gets down to the bottom. There's exactly what we talked about.
Yeah!
All over that motorcycle, but his last-ditch effort falls short. Graham wins the race over Parker. Carr is third. We have another look at Rusty Rogers earlier in this race, well beyond the edge of control. There's how that high side crash started and pitched him off into the bales. He came back for 4th. We'll see him again in the semifinal. For now, the focus is Rocket Ricky Graham, resurgent Ricky Graham showing championship form we've not seen since 1984. Let's hear from him.
As Al Gore said the other night, it's time for them to go.
Graham's been watching politics on the tube. He's a privateer Honda rider. He's talking about the Harley-Davidson factory team, whom he's trying to catch in the championship standings.
Well, I tell you what, this is a critical racetrack, critical points on these half mile. The best man is going to win. Thank you.
Graham was best in Heat 1, beating 2 of the 3 big guns for the Harley factory team. He's a candidate for American Motorcycle Institute Rider of the Race. Rogers comes back for an impressive 4th and talks about that earlier crash.
Well, we went in there a little hot and bike got real sideways, and I think the suspension squatted and threw the chain off, and it locked the rear wheel up and pitched me over the handlebars.
As a result, we'll see the ever-spectacular Rogers again in the semifinal. Parker heads back to the pits to get ready for the main event.
Hey, I know how you feel. Your weight is up, your energy's down, your self-esteem's low, your blood pressure's high. You know what you need? Exercise. But who has the time? You do. Just imagine what a difference you can make in just 20 minutes a day, 3 times a week with Nordic Trek. Nordic Trek. They call it the world's best aerobic exercise. Nordic Trek's patented flywheel provides smooth, non-jarring continuity of motion, so there's no stress to your back or knees. Your total body gets into the action. That's not true with ordinary exercisers. Nordic Trek's total body workout burns more calories. You'll lose weight, reduce stress, and feel better. I'll bet you never imagined fitness at home could be this easy. Now is the time to get rid of that unfit body.
Create a new you.
Try Nordic Trek for 30 days at home with no risk or obligation.
You'll see and feel the difference.
Call for a free video and brochure.
Can you handle the August heat of ESPN? Sizzling sports in August on ESPN.
The rolling thunder of Camel Pro Racing is coming your way in August. This series will be in Peoria, Illinois, and Indianapolis, Indiana. September dates, Springfield, Illinois, Fresno, California, and Sacramento, California, as they head for the championship finale. Our next telecast a week from tonight. The action from Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Same time, same place here on ESPN. Billy Herndon on the pole as we move to the next qualifying heat race alongside number 17, Aaron Hill. Here's the Texas veteran, Terry Poovey, number 18, the legendary 3-time champion, Jay Springsteen, number 9, and Joe Roeder, who's locked in a point battle with number 21, Will Davis. We talked about the points at the top. Take a look at 6th through 10th. We have 5 riders separated by a total of 5 points, and 3 of those riders, Davis, Roeder, and Poovey, are in this qualifying heat race. There's the launch, the charge to turn 1, and it looks like Davis has the whole shot. Will takes the bottom of the racetrack. Terry Poovey goes up to the top, approaching hay bale territory, and he was side by side for a moment, but it's a better drive for Davis down the backstretch. Poovey looks to the inside. Just can't seem to get anything going. Davis is on a rail.
Aaron Hill's on 3rd, and look for George Roeder on top. You know, this isn't exactly Ohio type of racetrack, but he's improved steadily every year. He's going to try to work his way to the front. There he goes. He's just got Aaron Hill. He's trying the high line, a real high line, and he's going to work on Poovey now.
Roeder is another of those fearless characters. His dad, of course, was a legendary dirt track racer, and now Joe following in his footsteps. Around the outside of Poovey on entrance to the corner. How much of that is skill? How much of that is courage?
Well, when in doubt, Bart Markle said just hold it on. He did exactly that.
Markle, the 3-time champion, with advice that Roeder obviously followed. We need to talk a little more about what happened to this racetrack. Heavy, heavy rain mixed with this clay. They had to wheel pack it, and that means the track is filled with ruts, but at least we're getting to see a race. Look at the rear brake on Terry Poovey's motorcycle. It is glowing red. I think we can get another look at that. He's hanging with Roeder, in fact, challenging him. Look at the brake rotor. What's that all about?
Well, obviously his foot's either on it a little bit too much or the pucks are sticking. It's probably the former rather than the latter.
I'll tell you what, he's not got much breaks when he heats them up that much, I wouldn't think. The thing glowing red. You don't see that often, but you sure see it with Poovy here. This is the race for the final transfer spot out of this heat. Poovy did not get there as Roeder hangs on. Davis wins it comfortably. Poovy, Springsteen, and Hill are non-transfers and go to the semifinal. It's wild and woolly action in West Virginia on a Saturday night. The skies have cleared and we'll be right back.
Just because you go all out doesn't mean you got to stink. Not if you're wearing this. And here comes your chance to prove it. And you will, because Old Spice works. Man, does it work. Fights wetness, kills bacteria. The proof?
Hey, hotshot.
You're looking at her.
Old Spice antiperspirant for great odor protection. You demand proof, not promises.
Coming on video cassette Friday, August 14th from Camelot Music, Wayne's World.
Pardon me, do you have any Grey Poupon?
Pre-purchase your copy of Wayne's World from Camelot Music for only $17.88 and receive a free pair of Wayne's World drumsticks with each video cassette purchased.
No way.
Wait! Pre-purchase your copy of Wayne's World now for only $17.88 at all Camelot Music stores.
Kevin Atherton's mother is understandably concerned about the third-ranked rider in the championship standings. Kevin rides tonight with surgical plates in his arm after a road racing crash.
Broke both bones. They played it back together, and the doc said get some muscle in it and go racing. So that's what I'm doing.
I can see. As a matter of fact, you're squeezing that ball. I assume that keeps it loose and prepares you for what's going to come a little bit later this afternoon.
Well, yeah, squeezing the ball gets some muscles exercising, and it actually makes it feel a lot better than what it does look. So.
The obvious question, Kevin, why are you doing this?
Well, I went to Hagerstown, and I had to sit in the pits and watch everybody go around, so I said I got to race next weekend. And the points chase is Ricky Graham starting to catch me, so I got to get out there, earn some points, and I think that's what counts there is getting those points for a championship.
As if racing with a broken throttle arm were not enough, number 23 had more problems on the start. You see the launch. Ingram jumps out on number 31. 92 Ferris is second, but boom, right there, contact between Atherton and number 70, Mike Scott. Take another look.
Second from the outside, Jason Fletcher gets a little squirrely. They're all a little squirrely right here, but he moves down to the inside, gets into Kevin. Kevin moves over. He bangs Mike Scott. Boy, that's hairy going into the first turn.
Kevin Atherton, happy-go-lucky kid. They call him Cupcake. His mom on the left has a very difficult time watching him race. And I got to say, it takes a lot of fortitude to get out there with those surgical plates in your arm just 17 days after a crash. You had a glimpse there of Danny Ingram, number 31, looking down at the back of his motorcycle, and you see a whole lot of number 92, Rodney Ferris, on the gas and charging into the last lap of the heat race. You see the big gap? That's where Ingram was, but it's Kevin Atherton ahead of Georgie Price as they move into the final tour. Atherton is very, very happy to get that transfer spot. His arm is hurting big time. Georgie's all over the bike, and here's Ingram's problem, flat tire. And so Atherton will go to the main event without having further qualifying laps to deal with. And the race winner, Rodney Ferris, is standing by with Larry Myers.
When Ingram pulled ahead of you, you stayed behind him using that high line. Did you try to get underneath him at all?
No, I was mainly working him on the outside, and he kept spraying me with a lot of stuff. I was just trying to feel him out to find a better line to get by him. He was having a little trouble in the middle of the turn, and so was I, so shame he broke. It'd have been a good last lap.
Hey, everybody thinks it's a shame that Ingram broke, except Kevin Atherton, who inherits a direct transfer to the semifinal, and said, man, I'm glad I don't have to ride 8 more laps to get to the main event. We go to the final qualifying heat race highlight. This is Steve Moorhead right up there bouncing off the edge of the cushion. Moorhead is 37 years old. He's the oldest man on the circuit. He's pursued in this heat race by number 72, Larry Pegram, a mere kid. of 19, and you see who wins the race. Moorhead kept him about 4 or 5 lengths back the whole distance and took the transfer spot, with Pegram settling for the runner-up position. And that means that Mike Hale, Steve Beatty, and Tim Mertens will also have to ride another 8-lap semi if they hope to make the championship finale here this evening. Danny Ingram's M&M Honda has a new rear tire. He'll be back to ride the semi right after this.
Why get an inferior shave when you could have the best? Why choose ordinary lubrication when you could have the richest? Why settle for average protection against razor irritation when you could have the most advanced, giving you the closest shave with less irritation? Edge Gel. Ultimate closeness. Ultimate comfort. That's the Edge.
As the water of the Colorado River goes, so go the western states. And as the western states go, so goes the country. We just thought you'd like to know. The Colorado, if it's important to you, you'll find it in time.
Drivers, start your engines and get ready for takeoff on an airport runway that doubles as a dangerous road course. The Budweiser Cleveland Grand Prix, Sunday afternoon at 3:30 Eastern on ESPN.
Back in Mineral Wells, West Virginia, just outside Parkersburg, for highlights of semifinal qualifying here. Number 64U, Georgie Price. Number 9, the legendary Jay Springsteen. And watch number 26, Steve Beatty, with the big wheel stand off the line. A little traction out there.
And got a little airtime, too. That's got to be exciting for his competitors.
Springsteen will make a nice move through the traffic right here and get to the front ahead of Rich King. The man in the yellow helmet is Chris Kaiser. And in 7th spot, as they come into this corner, is Georgie Price. You may have got a glimpse of him with his leg hanging out. That's him way up at the top, going around the outside. He gets himself into a position to challenge for a transfer, and then does the exact opposite. Then the next time he goes right to the bottom, and watch what happens. He can't cut the corner, and bang, Kaiser hits him in a terrible looking crash. I think that was Steve Beatty who sneaked by Kaiser's motorcycle without contact. Take another look at how it developed.
You're right, Dave. Georgie cuts 30 feet off the inside, but he can't get out of 2, and he's just got to make too sharp a turn. Oh, Chris has got nowhere to go. They collide, and boy, that's gruesome.
It's a racer's worst nightmare. You're on the throttle hard, and suddenly you have nowhere to go. Beatty describes how it happened, end over end, and Jay Springsteen says, man, that can be bad when that happened. The good news is Chris Kaiser has not a fracture. It appears there is some ligament damage to his knee, but he's going to be okay. With that, we move on to the restart of the semifinal, and this time jumping out into the lead is in fact Rich King. King riding Ian Segaty's motorcycle here this week. Ian was less fortunate last week at Hagerstown. He broke both ankles in an unusual crash, and so King saddled up the TLC Harley tonight. That's the Thelma Louise Koss motorcycle. That's Ian's mother, and Rich has given it a pretty good ride here with Springsteen in tow. How about Jay on this racetrack? As old as he is, and as long as he's been out there, he still gets around these things pretty good.
He does real good. You know, this isn't exactly his type of racetrack. He's a little bit better on the cushions, but he's going to transfer, I think, and he's going to put in a good performance.
Top 3 will get you to the main. Springer's got that covered with no problem. In fact, as he comes bouncing and banging out of the turn, he's keeping the pressure on Rich King. Uses the savvy, uses the experience, finds the smoothest place there is to run, and Springsteen takes the victory. Everybody loves the Jaybird. Rich King, coming out of retirement, gets second, and rising star Steve Beatty is third. We move on to the second semi in breathless anticipation of what thrills Rusty Rogers might give us this time out. Number 57 gets a hole shot as this 8-lap qualifier that will take the top 3 to the main event moves off into turn 1. It's Rogers up high. That's Terry Poovey getting alongside of him for a moment, and in the white leathers, the Connecticut youngster Jason Fletcher, number 65. who's having a pretty good year, all things considered. He crashed last weekend at Hagerstown, but prior to that had made a couple of main events this year. Rusty Rogers, for the record, is the national champion in asphalt oval racing, different from Camel Pro competition. Take a look at it. Here's Steve Moorhead. Look how far it is to the front row for Moorhead in this recent race at Charlotte, North Carolina. And watch number 42 come up the inside, tries to pass them all. Boom! Takes out half the field going into turn one. And that is Rogers high stepping across the racetrack. Take another look. Here comes Moorhead up the inside. There is the first contact. There is the Rogers launch. And he does the 50-yard dash trying to get to the grass, knowing that it's softer to land out there. And who does number 1 Rogers race in this division? Clunk. Look at the hit on Will Davis, number 21. He is last year's champion in asphalt racing, and he says this of Rogers' style.
And this guy he just gets crazy, and he's going to the front. He's here to win. Same reason the rest of us are. If the fans didn't like that one, then I don't really know if we can do anything for them, because that was that was a heck of a race from where I was.
The fans do, in fact, like that kind of competition, and Rusty Rogers does indeed get crazy and go to the front. He's done it again tonight. He is all over the motorcycle and all over the racetrack, but he's at the head of the class in the semifinal. He was fast qualifier here tonight. Big lead, and yet look at the wild and woolly action through turn one. This guy is something to see. He wins the second semi over Poovey and Jason Fletcher, who gets his 3rd national start of the year here tonight. Rusty talks about the racetrack.
Yeah, it's getting a little slick up there. I don't know how long that stuff's going to last up there. Main event might be a little tricky. It's getting closer and closer to them hay bales, getting a little slick. I hope we get her there.
Well, last week's winner, Rogers, wants to make it 2 in a row tonight on TV so he can be AMI Rider of the Week. We'll be right back.
There's a little bit of it in each of us. Some just discover it earlier than others. If you were born to ride a Harley, now is the time to do something about it. We've been waiting for you to stop by.
Motorcycle Mechanics Institute. Training that can change your life. Endorsed by these major manufacturers. Become a certified technician. Learn from factory-trained instructors in modern classrooms. Make money what you enjoy. Motorcycle Mechanics Institute. 1-800-225-1234. Get hands-on experience. Go for it. Motorcycle Mechanics Institute. For the training you want and need. Go now.
Where to find the mountain man. A mountain man can often be found on the trail of adventure, in search of remote watering holes, or weathering harsh climates. Most often, however, you'll find the mountain man wherever you find smooth bush beer or easy drinking bush light. So, head for the mountains and find yourself in the wide, open world of the mountain man.
Susie Hamilton, U.S. middle distance runner.
What was good enough yesterday just isn't good enough today. You can't hang on to old victories. That's what performance is all about. That's why I like this stuff so much. It's not the old way of doing things. Shampoo and conditioner in one, Pert Plus. It gives me the results I'm after. Soft, manageable hair with not a lot of fuss. Who needs the old way of getting there?
Pert Plus. Great hair, no fuss.
We're back at Parkersburg. We move into the wee hours of the morning. 3 spots remain in the championship main event. These are the guys who will contest for those spots. You see number 17, Aaron Hill, Ronnie Jones, number 16. And the big gun in this one is Chris Carr, not yet in the feature. Inside pole belongs to number 32, Mike Hale. Carr, the man feeling the pressure now because his teammate, the point leader, Scott Parker, is in the feature. Carr needs to get there and get there impressively. And he goes right to the top of the racetrack, but the challengers are there on the bottom as they come down the backstretch for the first time. Aaron Hill has the lead. Here's Ingram moving around Carr. Randy Texter is also in the middle of that 4-rider brawl up front. So Carr is definitely going the wrong direction as his pal from California, Aaron Hill, leads him down the backstretch. Carr comes right back. first to fourth to first in the space of a lap. It's a very competitive racetrack.
You got that right. And you'll notice their lines are changing. Chris is experimenting a little. You know, he's basically been up high now. He just made an inside pass there. I don't think anybody's quite got this figured out yet.
Well, we've talked all evening about the conditions of the racetrack, soaked by rain this afternoon, wheel packed into some semblance of raceability, but it is not a very comfortable place to be competing here this evening. Look how the bikes bounce around.
Danny Ingram inside pass there, but you see it drifted out. He went right in front of Hill. It's going to be interesting. Hill got him back. Danny got a better run off the top. That inside, outside, inside, that makes for some hairy passing in the corners.
It appears to me that the groove, and maybe this is what Rusty Rogers was alluding to, the groove, the fastest part of the racetrack, is moving higher all the time. They keep pushing it up closer to the bales.
It appears that way, and that gets for some scary type racing because it allows very little room for error.
A couple of things occur to me, too. As they get higher, the racetrack gets faster, so not only do they have less margin for error, but they also have less room to operate. Here's Ingram looking down to the bottom, challenging Carr in a Harley versus Honda battle.
Yeah, he started out low, then he moved his high line to mimic Chris's line. It's interesting because it looked like he was going to take him underneath. He did. Inside line here, he tried the inside, see if Chris has got something on the way back.
And it appears Carr does not have anything for Ingram, who opens up a bit of a gap. Chris Carr is struggling a little bit here tonight.
This is a difficult racetrack to figure out. It's not like most racetracks they race on, these clay-banked ovals. Quite frankly, I haven't figured out, and I don't think Chris has got the handle on it right now either.
I think it's fair to say what we have here tonight is a gut check. Typically, a racer has some options. At any given time, he can sort of decide how close to the edge he wants to run. Tonight, the only place you can run and go fast is on the edge.
It seems that way, and quite frankly, some guys have more to lose than others, and the contenders are being a little bit more. Oh, down, there he is.
That's
Randy Texter.
Randy Texter pitches it away, takes a big tumble. The red flag will fly. He's down. Have another look as he challenges Aaron Hill. Just stepped out on him.
Just got hit one of those little bumps. The wheel gets airborne. You light up the wheel, you spin it out, and down he goes.
That bike gave Texter a couple of good licks right there as he went tumbling across the racetrack. There's the near miss as the following riders get by. Texter is okay. The race has been called official. Ingram wins at Carr, and he'll get the final transfer spots. Danny Ingram is in victory circle.
I'll tell you what, I wish it would have went the distance. The bike was feeling real good. M&M Racing, Bloomington Honda, Xana, Shoei, everybody helped me out. Really got that motorcycle working good.
Okay, is that a prediction for the main, Dan?
Well, I'll tell you what, if I could have went ahead and won my heat race instead of getting a flat tire, I'd make a prediction. But it looks like I'm going to be back on the back row, and it's going to be a tough race, but I'm going to do my best.
He's right about that tough race, but you can make a lot of passes on this rough and rutted racetrack if you have the courage. Quick look at the junior main event, primarily to enjoy the sibling rivalry of number 55, Roy Hart, and number 16, his brother, James Dean Hart. They come from Southern Illinois, and they ran 1-2 in the junior feature with another Illinois boy, number 4, Bart Schmuelbach, back there putting the pressure on from third. This came down to a last lap shootout, and here's how close it was. James makes the charge. Roy holds him off. The Hart brothers run 1-2. Kevin Barnes passed Schmuelbach to take third. You've seen the Hart boys before on ESPN. A couple of weeks ago at Springfield, James went tumbling on the backstretch. Roy had to haul him home. Tonight, Roy said he heard him coming.
Yeah, I heard somebody back there. I was hoping it's him, but you never know. I was just trying to go as fast as I can and pull it off.
What about the last lap? Did you think you were going to be able to hold him off, Roy?
I started hearing him a little louder. I was starting to wonder, but I didn't. You never look back. You always go forward, so I just held him on.
Now the tough question. If he'd gotten alongside, would you give him extra room because he's your brother?
I wouldn't give him anything.
Now, folks, that is not true. Listen to James' thank you speech.
I want to thank Hart Racing, Neil Keene, Blues Leathers, Dale's Harley Davidson of Mount Vernon, Hogwash, and Brian's Graphics, and Bell Helmets.
There you go. See, Brother Roy gave him the missing sponsor just in the nick of time. The Hart brothers, 3rd and 4th in the national standings for the juniors, neck and neck and headed for the front. Kevin Barnes is the leader over Jim Selby. With the rain delay, we're approaching 2 o'clock in the morning. It's time for the main event.
I got the job.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
So, who told you about the National Business Employment Weekly? Who told you it has hundreds of high-paying jobs open all across the country? Professional, technical, managerial.
I thought I told you about it. How the articles help you get a job. Write sharper resumes. Have better interviews.
No. I told you, remember? How to get along with your boss, get a raise, get promoted.
Let me see. You told me about the great jobs in the National Business Employment Weekly.
And the help in landing them. And doing better on the job.
So I really owe my new job to you?
Well...
Get the National Business Employment Weekly at your newsstand or order by credit card and get 8 issues by first-class mail for $35. Call 800-372-3000. 800-372-3000. The National Business Employment Weekly.
Don't make a career move without it.
Get hooked every Saturday morning on ESPN Outdoors. It's an adventure you won't want to miss. Explore the world's best fishing holes and hunting grounds on ESPN Outdoors. Have you seen who's been on Speed Week? Speed Week starts off the Thunder every Saturday night. Catch us this week at 7:30 Eastern for the latest in motorsports.
You've got the need for Speed Week. It's approaching 2 o'clock in the morning as our rain-delayed 25-lap main event comes to the line. Here's how they'll line up. The fastest heat winner was Rodney Ferris of Baltimore, Maryland. He'll start his Harley from the pole. The man alongside Will Davis, Honda mounted from Goldsboro, North Carolina. Third fastest heat winner was Steve Moorhead from Findlay, Ohio on a Harley. And there was no time on Ricky Graham's heat, thus he will line up fourth. He's from Salinas, California, mounted on a Honda, one-time winner this year. Factory Harley-Davidson rider Kevin Atherton, broken arm and all, is on the front row. And rounding out that front six, Joe Roeder. That's George Roeder II out of Sandusky, Ohio on the Harley-Davidson. In row two, it's Larry Pegram, the national champ Scott Parker, last week's winner Rusty Rogers, Jay Springsteen, Dan Ingram, and Terry Poovey. And rounding out the lineup, Rich King, Chris Carr, Jason Fletcher with his third national start this year, Steve Beatty, and Aaron Hill. 17 riders set to go 25 laps on the roughest racetrack we've seen this year. Atherton, number 23, will come from the outside pole. Then it's Graham, Moorhead, Ferris, Davis, and Roeder. They're looking for that flash of the green light, and this 25-lap main event is underway. Moorhead gets a great start. Graham got a bad start from up on the outside. They get into the corner 4, now 5. Whoa, Graham almost pitched it away. They were 5 wide for a moment. What a mob scene down the backstretch. Everybody wants to get out of that traffic. Davis challenges up front. Ferris takes the lead. Now they go 3 wide. Oh, and Davis almost fell off. This is going to be scary.
Boy, it's 3 abreast, and the inside line isn't working. The outside line isn't working. Nobody knows where to go. But I guarantee you, they got to smooth it out to go fast.
I'll tell you, 17 soldiers charged through the minefield there on the first lap. Nobody blew anything up, but it isn't over. It's a long way from over. Ferris has opened up a gap. Moorhead is second. Davis is third. Ingram, with a remarkable charge, has come all the way to fourth. Number 31 with Roeder on his tail. Down on the bottom, guess who? Rusty Rogers.
The unconventional approach. It worked for him last week, and he's trying it again. It's going to be the exciting race with his unconventional approach.
Look at him down there. He's got company, too. I didn't catch the number on the second man who's going down there to try to make Rusty's line work. Not very many people are going to get away with riding down there tonight. Here's Graham dipping to the bottom. He is trying to move up from a bad start, battling Joe Roeder as Rogers, number 21, sets his sights on Moorhead. No change in the top 3 positions. Number 31, Ingram, on the move in fourth, and then it's a scramble. Graham has the 5th spot. Again, we see Rogers trying to duck down inside of him.
This is going to be a handful. I just don't know. From lap to lap, guys are trying different lines. You're trying to stay smooth. You got to conserve energy. Here's Roger. No, that's Ricky on the inside. He's trying the same line, and he picked up a little room there.
Ingram may get back around him. I don't know. It's a battle for position between Danny Ingram, and now Rusty Rogers goes to the bottom and tries to pass them both through the ruts, sliding sideways, bouncing back up across the racetrack, gets the spot. Unbelievable racing here at Parkersburg. The rain was the culprit. It made a very, very rough racetrack. It delayed the race until the wee hours of the morning, but now What a battle we're seeing. Rusty Rogers finally makes it work. Gets around Steve Moorhead, working the inside. It's like a plowed field down there, but he's sure not scared of it.
Boy, he's persevering. Oh, boy.
That was Ferris.
Yeah, Ferris had his hands full on the outside. I guess it doesn't matter if you're high. Well,
Cost him the lead.
Yep, cost him the lead. Right now, Will Davis. Rusty Rogers still trying to hack off the inside of the racetrack and rock and roll his way up there.
Man, I'll tell you what, wild lap. Ferris got up against the outside berm and almost crashed. Davis passed him. Rogers on the bottom. In one lap, passes both of them. Rusty Rogers leads the race. Davis comes back off the bottom, side by side, up the front straightaway. Who's it going to be? Who's going to shut off last? My money'd be on Rogers,
yeah.
I guess, in that bet.
That's a safe bet. Yeah, and he's up by the bales, and he grabs a handful. Hey, ready to work up there.
I'll tell you, he's something to see. Rusty Rogers, last week's winner, in front of Will Davis now by a couple of 3 bike lengths. The guys you saw battling earlier on the pavement racing. Ooh, boy, look at that. Unbelievable saves lap after lap.
They're both going very fast, but watch Will Davis. He's noticeably smoother than Rusty. They're both fast, but Will is just smoother, and that's going to pay off in the end.
Is that a matter of picking the line on the racetrack? How can you be smooth on a track this rough?
I think he's just luckier right now. There are no smooth lines on that racetrack.
We'll be back right after this.
I danced with the Fräuleins in Berlin. Flirted with the ladies in Paris. Yeah. If I had to do it all over again, I would have only done one more thing. I would have got me that Harley Davidson.
A race that has truly lived up to its name, Thunder in the Hills of West Virginia, as 17 riders battle the rough and rutted West Virginia Motor Speedway dirt track for Camel Pro Championship points. The leader is Rogers. Second is Davis. Third and moving is Graham. Ingram has been fourth a long time, now challenged by Rodney Ferris, who just about pitches her way again.
Bumper to bumper over a bumpy racetrack. That's hairy.
The first 5 beginning to get away. This strikes me, Bill, as the kind of racetrack that will separate these people into 3 groups. There's the smart, there's the brave, and then there are those who are smart and brave.
Well, my money's on the 3rd group because I think it's going to take both to win this race.
Here's your guy, perhaps in that group. Number 1, Scotty Parker, leading a phalanx of number 72, Larry Pegram, number 20, Chris Carr, and number 66, Joe Roeder. And they're having their own battle, closing on the lead 5. This is 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th positions. And the question to Scott Parker's mechanic, Bill Werner, is he playing it cool out there?
Well, the goal is to win the championship. This is one race. Some days, you know, you unload the bike and everything works perfect. Today was not one of those days.
Parker playing it cool for the 2nd week in a row. He did the same thing at Hagerstown last week when he wasn't comfortable, knowing that indeed the goal is to win an unprecedented 5th consecutive championship. I believe he's going to surrender his spot here as Larry Pegram goes on the attack on the bottom, down in the rough stuff. Roeder also bouncing around back there. And up front, a pass for the lead. Davis charges back under Rusty Rogers, retakes the top spot. Here's the action between the national championship contenders. Pegram and Carr are both around Parker. Scott Parker falls to 8th as the war continues up front. And let's note that Steve Moorhead has dropped out with apparent engine problems. Will Davis and Rusty Rogers, 2 men who have won 1 national race apiece, are looking for an opportunity to be the hero here tonight at Parkersburg. Scotty Parker, who has won 48 national races, playing it a whole lot more cool this evening. And Ricky Graham is the guy everybody's keeping an eye on because he's coming hard.
Yeah, Ricky's got a little bit tighter line going in, and he gets a little bit tighter coming off. Also, by doing that, he saves about 30 feet of racetrack, and he's just moving forward.
Everybody else seems to be running right around that top edge of that groove, getting it up there and actually using the edge of the groove for traction. Ricky when he has a preference, uses the bottom, and it seems to be working a little bit better. He has run these guys down from a pretty significant distance and now goes inside. And I'll tell you, in a war over the bottom, it'll be interesting to see who wins it. Rogers gets sideways first. Graham comes out. Is he going to hang on to the spot? Now, no, Graham falls off the pace. Something is wrong with Ricky Graham's motorcycle, and in that same instant, a puff of smoke from Rodney Ferris' machine. This is Johnny Goad, who owns Ricky's bike, wondering what has happened to what was the third-place machine, challenging for second. Rogers now rides uncontested in that runner-up spot, and to finish the story, Ferris blew an engine, apparently, a cloud of smoke, and he's been black flagged off the racetrack. 31, Ingram inherits third. Carr trying to get around Pegram. That'll be for fourth position. What a huge leap he made in the span of just a couple of laps, and every leap toward the top is a bunch of points.
He's taking advantage of everybody else's mistakes, and quite frankly, that's what you have to do to win a championship. Be an opportunist.
He's making a few mistakes of his own, though. You saw the big bobble by Carr. There's no way not to make mistakes on this racetrack. Really, I'm not sure it's fair to call a mistake. You run it off in there, you hit the holes, and then how you react is the key to staying alive. This is third, fourth, and fifth. Carr is in position to snatch a podium finish here away from Danny Ingram, whose bike showed a little bit of smoke. I don't think that's a problem. The exhaust pipes are trying to fall off the number 72 machine of Larry Pegram. This place will beat motorcycles to pieces. And in the waning laps, we've got a great... Oh, what a move by Carr. Turned back under Pegram. I haven't seen anybody make that work all night.
Yeah, he got it done just lickety-split. And right now, he's in a contention for, like you say, a spot on that podium. He's doing what he has to do. He's letting it all hang out.
It was only about 5 laps ago that he passed Parker for 7th place. Now Carr is third. Granted, he got a couple of those spots by attrition. Ricky Graham fell out. Rodney Ferris fell out. And it has come down to this 3-rider battle for the third and final spot on the podium here tonight. Up front, Will Davis for the moment having the better of it over Rusty Rogers. Davis apparently en route to his second career victory, and Carr is going to take a bite out of the points unless Pegram takes a bite out of Carr. They continue their battle, and here they come down the front straightaway. Carr held him off. You see the interval? Go on back and pick up Parker, who now rides all alone in 6th, and I'll bet he's tickled to death to be all by himself.
He just wants to get out of here alive.
This is the race for the lead. Rogers is going to go to the bottom of the racetrack. They're into the final lap. Davis looks back over his shoulder. Look at Rogers close the gap. On the final lap, Rogers made the bonsai down through the plowed field. He'll do it again in 3 and 4. They turn for the checkered flag. Rogers crashes it away. Rogers throws that motorcycle into a pile. The human highlight reel. Rusty Rogers has crashed himself out of 2nd place on the last lap. Unbelievable. Davis wins the race. I guess we might have expected it to finish this way. It has been a wild and woolly night. Take a look.
Rusty just got in there. He tried to hack off too much of the racetrack, got on the gas. He had to get on the gas, but that was his own undoing. Next thing, rock and roll, and he's over the gas tank.
Rogers finds himself in need of transportation. Will Davis says, hey, I'll give you a ride home. Climb on, man. We'll be back to talk to the heroes right after this.
Sports Illustrated gets you ready for the excitement of NFL football in his amazing new video, the 1992 Pro Football Spectacular. It's free with your paid subscription to Sports Illustrated.
Stay at home if you don't want to get hit.
Call this toll-free number now and get the best of last season, plus Sports Illustrated's view of next year's champion.
If I were to pick one right now, I'd say the Dallas Cowboys.
Plus, you'll also receive a second video free with your paid subscription. You'll get the NFL video of your favorite team, no matter which team you prefer. Pick any one of the 2018 videos. It's your choice. Free from Sports Illustrated. Your team video will take you through the 91 season from the end zones to the locker rooms. Plus, you'll know what's new for 92. Call now to subscribe or renew. Get your 2 free videos and 30 issues of Sports Illustrated for only $1.49 an issue. Save 50% off the cover price. For quicker delivery, use your credit card. You'll catch the best of the year with your 2 free videos and Sports Illustrated. Call now.
Historic Watkins Glen, a demanding road course that produces the most exciting finishes. Now it's new and improved and tougher than ever. The Budweiser at the Glen, Sunday afternoon live on ESPN. You're watching ESPN, the Total Sports Network.
Exclusive Speed World coverage of this Camel Pro Series Classic has been brought to you by Harley-Davidson Motor Clothes, custom-designed casual apparel exclusively available at your Harley-Davidson dealer. Another look at how the race was won and lost. Will Davis up on top, Rusty Rogers down in the bumpy stuff. The motorcycle turns sideways and spits him off. This young man who said at the top of the show that the win last week had calmed him inside certainly showed us no evidence of that here this evening. He settles for 14th place. Will Davis takes home the winner's money.
First thing I guess I want to say is, what do you think of this, Mom? Or Ma, as my brother would say, this is the first national she's ever seen me even do good in really, you know, one Lima. They weren't there, finished third a couple times. They were never there, but she was here tonight, and Rusty got out front, and I didn't know if I could catch him. I got to thinking about her and my brother up there. I said, you got to give 110%, you know, and I don't think A&R Racing from San Jose, California, Greg Rogers and Louis Arruda, for what for them guys who wouldn't have that motorcycle to be working on or to be riding. Main guy, that guy standing beside the motorcycle, Dennis Town, you know, he, you know, I'm just beyond words. He's worked his butt off since last October, you know, 12, 13 hours a day on that motorcycle, and we knew that, you know, that much hard work, one day we were going to win one of these things. We were so close so many times, and I'm just tickled to death.
Will, corners 1 and 2 of the last lap. Now, you saw Rusty underneath you. You knew he was there, and you knew that he was going to try something on the last lap. Did you know where it would be and where he would approach you from?
Well, I figured, Larry, when I come off turn 2, he was down low and he wouldn't get much of a drive, and I got a pretty good drive, so I figured I'd stretch it out pretty good down the back straightaway, so figured I'd just hold my line, so I never saw him in 3 and 4, and when I crossed the finish line, I looked back and I said, oh no, Rusty pitched it away.
And when Rusty pitched it, everybody moved up a spot. Chris Carr second, Larry Pegram third, Dan Ingram fourth. A conservative Scott Parker gets fifth. Further back, Jason Fletcher's first top 10 finish ever, and likewise for Steve Beatty. Aaron Hill, Rich King, Kevin Atherton with the broken arm, Rusty Rogers and Rodney Ferris rounding out the order, Graham and Moorhead, and of course the last 3 guys all broke. Now let's find out more about that impressive charge for number 20, Chris Carr, that carried him to a runner-up finish tonight.
I was afraid to ride the thing till about the 8th lap of the main event, and I finally figured out something that I needed to do, and it just worked for me, and I was able to move up through the pack, and second place is a gift. Rusty was going real good. He went down, and I know Ricky Graham broke, and Ferris had a little trouble as well, so second place is a big gift for me tonight. I didn't deserve it.
You said you figured something out about the 8th lap. What was it?
Well, I was just afraid to run the bike into the corner and let it do its thing. I was always fighting it. Going in the turns was real slippery, and I just was kind of panicking going through the corners, and I finally just let the bike do what it wanted to do, and when I got close to the hay bales, I turned the gas on, and that's what kept me around the turn.
When you got close to the bale, you turned the gas on. I'll remember that. If I'm ever driving a combine, that's the only way I get close to a bale.
All right. Thank you very much, Larry Myers. Words of wisdom. Carr carves 6 points off Scott Parker's championship lead. The gap is 13. Atherton holds off Graham for the time being. Further back, Will Davis moves up to 6th, pulls ahead of Joe Roeder, Jay Springsteen, Terry Poovey, and Danny Ingram. Look at that, 3 guys tied for 8th. No doubt about the outstanding rider of this race. The American Motorcycle Institute honors Will Davis for the courage and the savvy to come home a winner here tonight. Kevin Atherton's courage impressed me here this evening. He's got enough strength left in that broken arm to sign a couple of autographs, and I'll bet to hug a pretty lady after this race is over. And for Rusty Rogers, his efforts, his hopes, his dream of being a hero tonight came up, what, 50 yards short of the checkered flag. Let's hear from him.
Will was just tearing me up off of 1 and 2, and every lap, with 5 laps to go, I should have done what I've done that last lap down here, made something a little different, and it worked. And then I tried it down here to beat him to the finish line, and it didn't work. Ended up on my can.
Rusty, did you say to yourself this is a do-or-die situation, or were you in complete control and full of confidence you could pull it off?
I don't think it's never do or die. It's just that I'm not one to sit there and follow these guys. I'm gonna make something for myself, and I'm gonna try different lines and see what it takes to get me up front. And, you know, I done sat in a many of vans and sat under this tent over here watching a many of races because I didn't do something right, or the bike broke, or the team didn't work together. And now we're doing stuff together, and the bike's working for us, and I'm not gonna sit there and wait on them guys. I want to be out front where or they'll have to reel me in.
I think this is a turning point in the career of Rusty Rogers. He has the determination and the drive. He's proven he has the courage. Now he just needs the judgment to go with the rest, and he could be a real force in this game. The championship tonight, kind of a non-story to right at the end, Werner.
Yeah, you're right, Dave. But, you know, this is just another segment in the overall series. Both guys rode their heart out. They weren't the leaders. They weren't up front. But it's just like you say, another block in the overall picture. I guarantee you, they both did the best they could.
Chris got to the front at the end, in part by his own drive and in part by attrition. Ricky Graham had another huge disappointment here tonight. For the second time in 3 races, he was in position to win it, and it got away from him because of mechanical misfortune. The series moves on to Peoria, Illinois next. Then it's Indy and Springfield and Fresno, California and Sacramento as we head for what could be the historic 5th championship. Our next race will be a week from tonight. Oklahoma City, Oklahoma highlights. Our congratulations to Will Davis. A great performance here this evening. To find out more about American Motorcycle Institute, presenters of our Rider of the Week award, give them a call, 1-800-874-0645. We appreciate the hustle and hard work of Larry Myers down trackside and the astute observations of Bill Werner up here as our expert analyst, and we thank you all for being here. I'm Dave Despain. So long from Parkersburg.